Good morning. You listen to the Blaine World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and get more information about the show and previous shows on our website, which is behind me, blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And to that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Zoe Zelonky. And Zoe, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this. And Zoe is a person, as you'll see, wears many hats at Asheville Community Theater. She's education director is the official title, but she also is directing and involved in an upcoming show and just about anything else at summer camps, you name it, ACT, Zoe Zelonky will be involved. And so, Zoe, you and I have talked before, but for the benefit of folks who haven't met you, and there might be maybe two or three people yet in the Asheville area who haven't met you, you grew up as a kid where?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. My family is very artistic. I followed my dad around. He's a children's singer and songwriter, and I watched him perform all over the country, including the White House. And he wrote and directed musicals at the local middle school, and I followed him there. I went to several camps, and I worked in many community theaters as a kid, which I loved being a part of as a performer. And then I was in a show and I met a director who said, you could have an eye for directing. And so I started to look at that as well. And I went to school in Missouri for theater education, where I wanted to become an education director at a community theater. And wouldn't you know it, I'm so lucky.
What was the first show you were ever in?
The Wizard of Oz in first grade.
Okay, and what was your role?
I was Dorothy in first grade.
Oh, were you really? Oh my goodness. Do
Yeah, it
we
was
have
our school play.
we have a record of that anywhere?
I've got some photos, yeah.
Okay, but no video of it or no record
We
of it?
had a VHS tape. I'm not sure if it's in my dad's attic.
Or switch it to the make it a DVD so you have it a record of it down the
That
road.
would be pretty cute.
But I think I've shared it with you before. I'll share it again with you this idea. And again, I'm volunteering to help. But I'd love ACT to do this fundraiser I told you, where everybody recreates their first role.
Oh,
Have I told you that before?
no, that's so cute.
Totally. I'm telling you, can you imagine that everybody would recreate their very first role? You don't have to do the whole thing. Wouldn't that be great to do Dorothy again?
Yes, that would be special.
And man, I'm getting a chill when we talk about it because everybody I tell says it's a great idea, but nobody's ever done it. But I'm saying for a weekend, and it doesn't have to be a big part, doesn't have to be the whole role, but they could have it to pass on to their family and friends. So
I
so
love
think
that.
about that, as a fundraiser. Again, I'll volunteer to help with it, but I actually would love it. So you could recreate Dorothy, for future generations or something. And some people could be a tree or they could be wherever they were, but just a fun thing. So you started acting first grade was your first role, and did the bug hit you then?
Oh, immediately. I wasn't very good, but I really liked being up there. And it was really special to learn the lines. I still remember looking at my script and highlighting my lines and focusing and learning my blocking and how am I going to do the shoe change on stage. And I remember thinking about that at 6. I can still kind of picture the audience and my dad in the front row. It was and my mom too. It was really special.
Well, I won't ask you to recreate the role or remember the lines, but do you still remember some of the lines, you think?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, great. Now, by the way, that'd be cool. Did you ever get to do that show again, or is just the only time in first
I
grade?
actually did. I did the Wizard of Oz in college, and I was the mayor of Munchkinland, which is completely different, but so fun.
Okay, but that must have been a trip down memory lane to recreate. So the bug got you maybe before first grade, but the bug got you in first grade, and ever since then, did you were you acting in shows and performing in shows?
Yes, I've been performing since then. I did Fiddler on the Roof with my dad and my brothers. I've done Fiddler on the Roof with my dad twice. He was Tevye both times, and I was Bielka, the youngest daughter, and then I grew up and played Hodel, the second oldest, which was really special to get to do that with my dad throughout the years. And yeah, I did a lot of theater in middle school and high school, college, and after college as well. I continue to perform.
Ballpark, the performing aspect, how many shows have you been in, would you say?
A lot, definitely over 100.
Really?
I
Out
would
of
say
all
so.
of them, put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite role you've ever had?
I have so much fun in so many roles. I got to do Kinky Boots
Okay.
a couple of years ago, and I played Lauren, and that show really resonated with me at the time. I found it to be so important and fun. Um, there are just so many good shows. I'm looking at my list. I played Junie B. Jones for like a year, and that was really fun because she's a 6-year-old, but I was in my 20s, and it was really special to see 6-year-olds, and they got so excited to see a book character come to life. That was a really special part.
On your bucket list, is there anything you either want to perform or direct?
Oh, the new version of Willy Wonka has come out, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Willy Wonka is one of my favorite stories, and I would love to direct. I've directed Willy Wonka, the kids version, but I'd love to direct Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Um, and oh, there are just so many great roles out there. I always have fun auditioning for things. So
I'm,
I whatever's coming up.
I'm gonna put you on the spot because one of the things I love about you, do so many things. You do so many things well. You have a favorite thing you do. In other words, I've seen you perform. I've seen choreography. I've seen you direct. Do you have a favorite thing out of all the things you do?
That's a really good question, and I do get that question a lot. I do love everything I do pretty much equally. I would say my all-time favorite thing that I do for work is watch the kids grow up. So as the education director, I get to start with the kids at whatever stage they join us, and I get to watch them grow in the program. And I think probably one of the most special things that I get to do is watch them graduate and grow into themselves. I'm gearing up for the senior show with our Tanglewood teens. So I'm really kind of focused on that part right now where they're graduating. But it's very special to see. I've only been at ACT for just under 3 years, but it's special to see the growth that I've seen in this group of kids in the less than 3 years. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the next batch looks like as we continue to grow this program here at Asheville Community Theater.
Now, it's probably exciting for you to see, like I said, the kids grow, but to see kids you had as campers, and to then do you sometimes come back and they are in your shows and you direct them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would say the majority of the kids who have been in main stage productions that I've directed started with at camp with me, which is great.
Okay. And since you mentioned it, let's just talk about, again, one of the other things you do in your quote spare time at ACT. So you're not only in charge of the education programs, but you also run summer camps. And since we're coming into the summer season, talk, what are the summer camps? What are they all about?
Sure. So, ACT does a couple of great summer camps. We have our Summer Stages program, which is a week-long camp. It's more of an intro for kids who are either completely inexperienced with theater or for kids who love theater and have done it before but want to just have fun with it. Summer Stages is a great way to do that. We do a short informal performance on the last day, but the majority of summer stages is theater games, activities, connection, creativity, and confidence. So it's a great activity for them. We've got those weeks coming up in July. We still have spots left in Summer Stages Adventure and Summer Stages Wild. And then the other thing that we do at ACT for our summer camp is our summer musical. So we do a fully realized, full set, full costumes, full sound, full lights, everything in less than 2 weeks. So the first day of camp, we audition for placement, and the tech kids dive right into making the set. And then the next day, we start with rehearsals, and the tech kids are working on props, costumes, every element you can imagine. We rehearse Tuesday through Friday. We take the weekend off. We're back on Monday for Tech Week. And then we open on Thursday this year for High School Musical Junior and Friday for Shrek the Musical Junior. So we're doing two summer musicals this year, one in June and one in August.
Yeah, that'll keep it just a little bit busy. In
Just a
terms
little.
of, explain the difference also if folks don't know it, and they'll be surprised to learn about the junior pro musicals. But what is a junior musical versus the full musical? What's the difference?
Sure. So the main difference with the junior musical is the length of the show. So a junior musical tells the whole story in about an hour, maybe a little bit more. So it condenses the story so that you can learn it quicker, and so that you can have, if you have short attention span audience members, or younger children, it's a great opportunity for them to come see the theater and not sit through a full length musical. They'll be able to sit through something a little more bite-sized and a little more manageable for them. It's a great opportunity for kids to have a lot of roles. So junior musicals often have expanded casts or expanded cast opportunities, which I think is great, especially for the summer camps, and for youth productions in general. I think it's great when everybody has the opportunity to really shine.
And what's cool about some about junior musicals, people should realize it, is that they're pretty damn good. In other words, I
Oh,
I used to have this impression, it was a wrong impression, that I didn't want to see it because they were just kids, whatnot. But people will be amazed at the production quality of some of these summer musicals. And I can't believe what you just told me. They do this within 2 weeks.
yep.
Now,
Last year we did Finding Nemo Jr. It was astounding. It was beautiful. And the year before that was my first year. The first time we ever did a summer musical, we did Seussical
okay,
Jr.
and so this year you decide you have nothing better to do. You're going to do two this year. Is that the
Yep.
intent? Now, were the two separate programs or kids can be in both? Is that how it works?
Yes, they can be in both. Currently, both of those are full, but there's a wait list if you're interested in getting on that. And that's High School Musical Junior in June. And then we're doing Shrek the Musical Junior in August.
And that's something that's a tribute, I think, in large part to you, that we're just in May and they're already filled up
Yeah.
to take.
I think that Shrek's been full since early April, and High School Musical filled up at the end of April.
How many kids are in the camps?
About 80 in the musical, and then 12 tech kids.
Okay, but that's pretty impressive that, I mean, I guess the word's getting out that you want to, if you're into theater, you should be into this program for the summer.
I hope so.
It's sometimes some of the kids, I guess they act in school and whatnot, but for some it's their first exposure to theater.
Yes, it is. Summer stages in particular is a lot of kids' first experience with us. We also offer classes throughout the year that people can be a part of. Summer musical, typically the kids have had at least one experience with us in the past, just because it's a more intensive process, and that's typically what I recommend, either an experience with us or with a different community theater or a different school theater. I think that it just gives them a little more gumption when they're going for something that goes so quickly.
Okay, but as you said, some people, if they want just the experience, should take the other program you
Yeah,
mentioned.
summer stages is a great first experience to dip your toe in.
Okay. Probably exciting for you as a person being in charge of it to then see, I guess, do a lot of them go on to stay into the theater or get involved in the theater?
I think that a lot of kids do go into theater for their careers, but a lot of kids use theater for multiple careers. So theater has a long lasting impression on kids. It builds their confidence, it helps them make connections, it helps them with speaking, with organization, with time management. The kids who are in rehearsals at night or in the daytime, they really know how to handle their time and make sure that they're getting all of their things done in a regular amount of time so they can balance work, rehearsal, theater, and schoolwork so that they aren't falling behind in anything. And I find that there have been a lot of studies done where the kids who have done theater really are the kids who succeed in all elements of their life, which I think is pretty impressive.
I imagine it also helps them with their memory,
Oh,
I was just trying to think about it because I never had this experience as a kid. I would have loved to, but is that one of the things you work on developing the memory or are there skills that you learn as a result?
definitely. I would say that the kids who do theater have great memories typically, or they learn skills to help with their memorization. And I mean, I'll say from when I was a kid, because I did theater, I was much better at memorizing things for tests in school, because I knew how to learn things quickly. But I think it's astounding what the kids are able to memorize. We're doing those musicals in just 2 weeks. They have to memorize all their lines in music. And I've never had a kid miss. They always nail it.
And,
They take it really seriously. The dedication and the passion for it is what really makes a big difference.
And the thing that amazes me as you're mentioning this, Joey, is not only do they have to memorize lines, but they also have to memorize the songs, the choreography, and the blocking.
Mhm.
It's a lot of stuff you have to learn,
Yeah.
and do it in 2 weeks is pretty cool. Joey, if you would go from there then to the other thing you're working on, again, in your spare time, is you're directing an upcoming musical now at ACT, and talk a
Yes.
little bit that musical is.
I'm directing The Little Mermaid. It's our closer for the season. We're really excited. It's been a blast. It's the classic Disney. So it's got all the music that we know and love, Part of Your World, Under the Sea, Kiss the Girl, Poor Unfortunate Souls. And it's a beautiful production. Jill Summers is of course working on a spectacular set for us upstairs. It's looking beautiful. I'm very excited. We've got a absolutely stunning Ariel. Morgan Miller is playing Ariel,
Oh, okay.
and she's just absolutely wonderful in the role. Our Prince Eric recently was in our Into the Woods here at ACT. He played the steward. Jake Springfield has come in for Eric, and he's just so moving and so charming. Um, and very grounded. It's a beautiful performance with the two of them. And then we've got a real ringer for our Ursula, Dwight Childs, who just directed Into the Woods here at ACT, is playing Ursula. And it's mind blowing every time they open their mouth. It's so beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing this because I know two of the three pretty well. And I was thinking they want to see this. It's a kid's show, movie. It wasn't necessarily my favorite movie, but with that
Mhm.
cast, I just love Morgan. I love Dwight. And so it has me interested now in wanting to see it. So thank you on that. But that's
Totally.
quite a cast. You have that already. Anybody else you want to highlight on the cast?
Oh, we've got such a good cast. It's a cast of 42, ages 8 and up. So it is a fully realized cast with all the ages. We've got so many great, talented young kids. Our little flounder started in the summer musicals here, actually. And his name is Pierce, and he's just delightful in the part. We've got some amazing Murr sisters. Our chef, Louis, is hilarious. Sam Grady. Loop is back on stage. He's playing Grimsby. Scott Cameron, who builds our sets with Jill, is playing King Triton,
Okay.
and he's just excellent, very commanding. And River Spade, who appeared in The Play That Goes Wrong, is Sebastian, just phenomenal. And one of my graduating seniors, Alyssa Freeman, is playing Scuttle, the kind of out there seagull, and she's absolutely hilarious. Our Flotsam and Jetsam are amazing. I mean, I really could go, I could name every single one by name, and it would be worth it because they're all so good.
That's a pretty big cast too, 42. Is that the
It
largest?
is.
Is that the largest you've ever directed?
Oh no. This is one of the larger ones on the main stage here at ACT.
Right.
But our summer musicals have casts of 80 and up. So
That must be quite a challenge to get 80, people moving at the same time at one time. I once heard too, and this is a compliment to you as well, that you can really tell a good director if they can direct kids, because anybody, not anybody, but a lot of people can direct adults, but directing kids is a little bit different. Is that so?
I think that at first glance it seems different,
Yeah.
but I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we treat kids and adults differently. And I think that everybody deserves time and attention and respect. And I find that treating everybody in the cast that way makes for a very cohesive and delightful show experience. So when I'm working with a cast that's mixed of kids and adults, I really try to make sure that everybody feels that they've gotten an equal amount of attention and care. Um, and I mean, the kids and the adults work just as hard as the other ones. So I don't really see a big reason to treat them very differently.
Because listening even to the cast, for an 8-year-old to be with some of those other actors, that a pretty talented group of folks, that's pretty exciting, and that they work together. And do you find the adults are respectful or the adults are receptive to working with kids?
Oh, yes. I mean, I think for a show like The Little Mermaid, I think a lot of adults know that they're going to work with kids, and especially the adults who know that I'm directing and that I'm the education director, they know that I'm going to be looking for kids to be in the show. So there's a certain level of I have to make sure that my language is appropriate. I have to make sure that I'm treating everybody with kind little ears, being respectful. But everybody's been astounding in this show. Everybody's so kind. Last night we had a little rehearsal with all the sea creatures, which is when it's a big mix of little kids and adults, and each little kid is paired up with an adult. And it was so cute to see them like connect and have their moments with each other. It was very special. So I really enjoy that element of the show where they get to interact with intergeneration. I think it's great.
So the three people out there, who never saw the movie or not familiar with Little Mermaid, if you can kind of give the Reader's Digest version of the story.
Sure. So Ariel's a little mermaid who has a very big interest and curiosity about the human world, but her father won't let her go up to the surface. So she makes a deal with the sea witch, Ursula, to go to get legs for 3 days. And if she can get the prince to fall in love with her and kiss her, then she gets to remain a human forever. But if not, she belongs to Ursula. So that's the story of Little Mermaid. It's all about curiosity, discovery and yeah, enjoying all the elements of life.
And what would you say would be the age limit who should see the show?
I think that this show is totally appropriate for all ages. I think that Ursula, I mean, personally, I was terrified of Ursula as a child, and even a little still when Dwight plays Ursula. Um, but I think that with an understanding that there are some scary things, um, but it's almost exactly like the film. So if your child can sit through the Disney movie, I'm sure they would enjoy the stage version. And I think that adults will like it too. I think that the choreography is really fun. I've had a great time. I've got an assistant director and choreographer, Ali Marriott. She's doing a beautiful job. Schwa Felix did a stunning job on the music direction. They sound beautiful. Um, and of course, Maggie's on my stage management team, so you know it's going to be strong. Um, there's going to be gorgeous lighting. Abby Almond's got a very cool new water technique that I'm very excited to see come to fruition in Tech Week. And Fable Wild Day is doing some beautiful work on the costumes with assisted by Luca Hinton. So I think it's going to be a great show.
And just imagine along, I saw you wrote something on Facebook about this, just the costume itself on this show is probably a monumental task, because, compared to like a regular show with typical costumes, this is not a regular show.
No. Well, first of all, almost everybody has two different characters that they're playing in the ensemble. So that's a lot of costumes, first of all. But the majority of characters are not human. So it's not street clothes that you would find in everyday life. Everybody is sparkly or, a frog or a mermaid. And there are all kinds of things to consider. Fable and Luca did a really cool job creating the mermaid tails, Ursula's tentacles, all kinds of things to make the show really come to life in a very magical way.
And it seems like a big job too, to create these costumes as well. The
Mhm.
talk about the process also, so a lot of people don't realize it, but you've been working on this for a while. Talk about from start, like, so you folks decided you're going to Little Mermaid. How long has the rehearsal process been?
We had auditions for The Little Mermaid in late March. So, and we started pretty much right away. So we've been in rehearsals for a little under 2 months because we're doing this in the end of May. And so by the end of it, I would say we'll probably have rehearsed for 8 to 10 weeks, which is great. We rehearse about 4 days a week. We had some breaks because of spring break in there and things like that. But it's a great process. We had a lot of people audition for this show. It was a great turnout, which just says to me that we need more opportunities for people to get to perform, which is great because next year we've got a huge season coming up at ACT. So I'm hoping a lot of people will come out. Um, oh, my light went off. That's spooky. Okay.
There you go.
Sorry
Good.
about that. We've got auditions coming up for things. So we had lots of people audition for the show. We had a lot of people. We start with music rehearsals. We combined it with choreography rehearsals. And now we're getting ready to start Tech Week very soon.
And what I want people to realize is how much time and effort you put into this. You said 13 or the number of weeks you did, but then during the week itself, and especially just talk about Tech Week, how much work that involves.
Tech Week is a lot of work. I mean, Jill and her build crew work so hard during the day to make sure that the set is going to be ready. And this set is a beautiful, beautiful monster. Um, and I'm very excited about that. Jill, Adam, and Scott have just been totally crushing it. Um, so they work all day, and then in the evenings we have rehearsals, 4 to 5 days a week, usually four. But when we get into Tech Week, which is coming, will be 5 days. And it's great. We work about 4 hours a night. It's late night sometimes, but we try to keep it shorter in the beginning so that the kids especially don't get too tired out when they're working for school and things like that. But it's a lot of work to be in a show. It takes somebody who's very committed and dedicated and more than anything passionate about the work if you're going to be involved in a community theater show. And I would say every single one of these 42 people are locked in.
And for the show itself, so it's going to run how many weeks?
Oh, it runs 4 weeks.
Nice.
We open the 13th of June and we close July 6th.
And so how many separate shows will there be?
Um, like about 13, I think.
Which is really
Total
nice. And
around it.
I want to give you credit, Asheville Community Theater as well, because a lot of local theaters now, I'm very disappointed, only having 2 week runs. So you only have
Mhm.
it in a weekend, 2 weekends. If you miss it, it's all gone. So here it's a nice run that you give people a chance to see it. If people want to get tickets, and I encourage them to do so, um, one of the great things about the theater, the redesigned theater, is it's a beautiful place to see a show. Anywhere you go, how do people get tickets?
They can get tickets at ashevilletheater.org. And tickets are available. I did want to say we have two special performances for the show. We have a pay what you can night, which is a great way to keep theater accessible. That's going to be coming up on June 19th. And then we have a very special sing-along
Oh, I
performance,
love it.
which I'm really excited about. That's going to be on June the 26th. So those are two Thursdays, and I'm really excited for both of those.
And you mentioned AshevilleTheater.org, I think you said. And you spell theater the correct way? How do you spell it?
Theatre.
AshevilleTheater.org. But I love the idea of a sing-along. But I imagine you have to deal with that in terms of a director, even the non-sing-along versions. People probably sing along to that.
I don't know that I've experienced that yet. I think that the hope is that if we offer a sing along, people will only come to that one to sing. But a sing along is a great experience. We did it for The Sound of Music. You can get a little show box where it's got little things that you can use to experience the show in a more full experience. It's a really fun time. If you're a big Little Mermaid fan, I would definitely experience the
For
sing
the
along.
Sound of Music, I'm sorry I missed it. It sounded like it would have been a lot of fun. Did a lot of people come to the sing-along version?
Oh yes, the sing along for The Sound of Music was extremely fun. I was Liesel in The Sound of Music in the winter when we reopened, and I was nervous about the sing along at first, but everybody was so excited to be singing, and it filled my heart up the entire time. And to have them throwing confetti at the wedding and things like that, it was it was so special.
And I just love that show. It's just, I'm getting chilled thinking about it, but it's such a great production. And we may have talked about this either before we saw this show, but again, remind me of it again. So, of all the things you do, one of my disappointments with you directing is I love seeing you on stage. And so when you're um, directing, on stage, but yet you told me a story recently, the fact that a recent show, even though you weren't supposed to, you had three different parts you had to play.
Yes, in Into the Woods, I was the choreographer and I was also the super swing. So I got to go on for Rapunzel, Florinda, and the Baker's Wife for
Had you
Into
ever
the
had to do
Woods.
that before?
Yes, I swung on a couple of times in the past. I swung on for Matilda last season in a couple of different ensemble roles. And I was the understudy for Liesel. I was the swing for Liesel in The Sound of Music. And then after the hurricane, I stepped into the role permanently. Um, but I'm sure I've done it in other shows as well. I like being a swing. It's a fun activity. But I'm hoping that I don't have to go on for Little Mermaid, so none of you get sick, 42. Um, but it's a fun opportunity. I am going to be performing this summer at Hendersonville Theater in Something Rotten, though.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I can't believe you're going to be doing that. As you're directing, as you're running summer camps, you're also performing in something rotten.
Well, theater is not just my job, but it's also my hobby.
Well, since you probably also don't get much sleep, or I don't see in the background. I see shoes in the background on that chair, but
Oh yeah,
what I don't see, Zoe, I don't see your roller skates. How you get from one thing to another.
and
But
my heels.
Well, back to Yale's, and back to what you said as a kid you learned. You certainly must have learned time management because, to be doing, I can't believe you're also doing the show at Hendersonville. After we get through the summer, is there anything else that you know about or you can share coming for next year?
Sure. I'm very excited to be directing our Christmas musical this year. I'm going to be directing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at
Okay,
ACT.
okay, and that'll be very exciting. So we, to get through the summer, and you don't have much of a break. You then go just get into Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, I get a little break.
Okay, you deserve it. Anyways, Zoe, thank you for being my guest. Before we wrap up, if folks want to find out again more about Asheville Community Theater, best bet for the summer programs, the shows, whatnot, just go to the website. And the website is what?
AshevilleTheater.org, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates all the time.
Okay, and doing a great job on that as well. And thank you for being my guest. Also like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. Hopefully we'll see you soon, if not before, certainly at the upcoming musical. And I will tell folks that if Zoe Zelonky is involved in something, you're going to enjoy it. That's the one thing we can guarantee. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you.
That was great.